warm welcome. It's Andy featured live here on the Freedom Talk Radio Network with myself, Andy. It's freedomtalkradio.co.uk, and don't forget, I'm also part of the Fresh Start Foundation, helping victims of CSA, child sexual abuse. I'm one of the directors, and we're always happy to help you. Today it's a Wednesday, and it's Anthony Badaloo, our expert in the courts. A lot of it is, education, be prepared, but Anthony will show us some examples. Colin Worrell. Very good information, and tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. it's a one-off, never to be missed. Nicholas Riley is a private investigator, ex-retired, now unwell due to medical problems. He has such great stuff on the Ian Huntley case, the Princess Diana, the corruption in Grimsby in the police and the courts, the Humberside police. That's a show not to be missed. 2 p.m. London. That's about 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the Americas. Anthony, welcome to the show again. And touch wood, we don't have any techies this week.
No, it seems to be working a lot better than last time. So, yeah, they crack on.
Absolutely. Do you know what? The first thing I always thought that was a problem with courts, not so much the horrible looking impersonal buildings, it's more of what form do I actually need? Now, I look at their website, and there's probably about 1,000 of them, and you have to try and fit in your problem with the court form number. And of course, in Scotland and Ireland, it's different to England and Wales. So, how do we know how to get a court form? The right one at least.
Well, that's a whole mystery of itself. And they have a lot of the forms on the website, and used to be when you're going to court quite recently, they had a big stationery section, and they had a photocopier, they had a table where you could, fill your forms and obtain the right forms, and the staff would help you with the paperwork and check the paperwork that it's correct, and then they seal it and give you a copy, and you go merrily about your business. But at the moment, since we started asking for the computer records in the court, they got scared, and they're locking down all the courts in the country, and they've got no stationery in the court in terms of forms. They're telling everyone to go on the internet and seek legal advice, and most people don't know what legal advice means. So what the difference between legal advice and lawful advice? Legal advice, they mean you got to go and see a solicitor who is a part of the Bar Association, and their first allegiance is to the Ministry of Justice, which is a private corporation. So they are doing all sorts of things. They're just closing the service to the public. And to my understanding, under common law, the court is supposed to be open 24 hours a day, which is the case in central London, for the public to sort out their problems. Andy?
Yeah, so do you think they're doing this deliberately, keeping all these forms on the internet so you probably can't find them? Because, like an old lady or someone who hasn't got the internet or can't be bothered with computers, or don't know about how to use them, is it a deliberate way to avoid people getting their forms in, or is it just that technology's overtook and...
I don't believe so. I think when you have an issue with a court, it involves your liberty. So the court fees are very, very expensive. I have a case going on recently. The fee is £10,000. So they're not short of money. The building is there. The staff is there. So I think there's something deeper going on. They seem to be denying the public access to justice, in the way they're supposed to receive it. So this is a big problem, a huge problem, because the court, they're very strict with deadlines and that you've done the paperwork correctly and all these kind of things. Any excuse to use against you, they seem to hang on to it. But they got to provide the service that they're there to provide.
Yeah, so a bit like the legal advice, you go to a lawyer, the lawful advice, you try and find somebody like Patrick Cullinane, who was quite good at the common law, or people like Mark Sill and Gary Taylor and all that sort, and yourself. But a lot of people are not going to know many people, and I'm just trying to think. I've actually lost my good question. I was waiting. No.
What do you mean? You were saying where do people find proper lawful advice and not the legal advice which you get from the high street solicitors?
Yeah, being an ordinary person on the street that doesn't have big internet, that obviously on the internet we can tell each other how to do these forms and what skeleton argument you could probably use in your case, but a lot of people, the Joe Public out there, Mr. and Mrs. Public, they're not really going to know any of this, and they're going to have their faith in that lawyer that's going to rip them off for sure, and not bothered if he wins or not, or she wins. They're a bit like, I suppose their job's worth robots. They got a job to do, and they're not bothered how it goes, I mean, you even get some of these TV programs, and I've seen it in real life, that the actual defense lawyer often thinks, he's guilty as hell, send him down. But he's, or the other way around, I guess, if he is or she is as guilty as hell, then he gets you off. But, it's not, I don't get that bit, If you're a defense lawyer and you know your client's guilty, you should walk away and defend somebody who is, not guilty of a crime. Going the other way,
Well,
prosecution.
This is
if they know someone's innocent, then they shouldn't put them in jail.
Well, as you know, I was locked in jail for nearly a month, and there is no record whatsoever of any criminal charges against me. That's in Wormwood Scrubs. I was banged up in solitary confinement and had to share cells with murderers and the worst of the worst. So it's a big problem when you have a criminal defense lawyer. Why is it we've heard of so many criminal defense lawyers, but we never heard of a criminal offense lawyer? Somebody does you wrong and commits a crime against you. Where is it? How do you take action to get them criminalized? Why have we got criminal defense lawyers and no criminal offense lawyers?
That's all part of the game, I
guess. You see, the problem is that they've locked down the criminal system from the public. So if you want to prosecute someone who's done a crime, you can't. No matter how much evidence you have, you're left to go to the police, who, if it's a corporation or whatever, they will never prosecute. They will tell you it's a civil matter. There's not enough. I had a case recently. We got video, we got evidence, we got all the evidence, and the investigating officer told the victim, we don't have enough evidence to prosecute. It's unbelievable. This is at the Barnet Collindale police station. I tried to prosecute the people who stole my property. We have the evidence, black and white. It can't be any clearer. I've been to Willesden court 14 times in 1 week. They keep giving excuses, keep going back again on all the time. And on the last time, the gentleman, Mr. Wood, took me in the courtroom and sat on the judge's chair like he's a judge. So I asked him, are we in a court? Are we in a trial? And he said, no. And then I told him to come and sit next to me to look at my papers. And he ran out the court. He thought we were going to do a private citizen's arrest or something. So we called the police and blah, 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 blah. We have 3 letters from the same man with BS on it about my case, and each letter has a different signature, and it's a copy of the same letter. So this is the problem. When people are saying the crime figures went up, they're talking about people with stealing mobile phones and people with social problems doing petty crimes. They're not talking about the real crime of people ripping off assets that you might accumulate over 30 years or your lifetime, and they just come along and say, we got a court order, seize your assets, and the police is on their side. Andy.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. A lot of people that I know, they've tried to, tell somebody about a major fraud that's going on, and it's obvious that it is going on, and it doesn't matter which example I use, but any example really. If you tell a policeman that policeman that's your boss has been committing fraud, look, here's the evidence. It's there's a written affidavit of truth from neighbours and onlookers or whatever, witness statements, and they just put it in the bin or they just ignore it, and you think, well, I'll tell the court. Then they think you're causing trouble. Then you go to another police force, and they're the same. There's no sort of end to this no answer, because that's all we're getting everywhere we go is a no. Having said that, we have got a little bit of a limited system left, and I think if you know the way round the court forms and the procedures, in other words, play them at their own game, you might win, but that takes a lot of energy from a lot of people.
Well, there's a lot of tactics and strategies you can use, and you've got to be very persistent, and it's very stealth. It's I would say practically impossible for an ordinary person. I'm a certified public accountant, and I have a reasonable understanding of paperwork and some legal terminology and procedures. And I get so much BS. I got the Court of Appeal now on my case, telling me they're going to strike out my claim because I didn't get the transcript. So when I tried to get the transcript and showed them it was their fault, I have a letter from them in black and white saying that the transcript doesn't exist. So this is the kind of rubbish the courts are doing, and people are being locked up and deprived. And they're just pushing people back down into slavery because they're just depriving you of your assets and your rights. And people have built up their savings and stuff. They're just taking it and saying they have a court order, and you try to appeal against it or to win against it, and no matter how clear-cut your case is, you ain't getting nowhere, and your lawyer won't make you any wiser. Andy?
Yeah, and of course, it's not going to do a lot for your case either. So, going on Colin Wells' example of maybe, in November when we try and arrest all the MPs and the councillors, why can't we sort of roll that out to making it the judges and the police as well? I mean, after all, it's one of them that are taking full control of our system. Maybe it isn't the councillors or the MPs. Maybe we should be after the judges, because at the end of the day, they judge on their law. The police enforce the law. The councillors and MPs do as they're told. I think
the big problem, like what Patrick Cullinan and loads of other people have been fighting for, is to get more cases in front of a jury. Because, the CPS and the police, they're making a determination not to prosecute for various reasons. When the evidence is clear and black and white, they're making a decision to not take the case forward. So even when they take the case forward, the magistrates and the judges are making decisions which are just howling abuse of process and abuse of position. And until these cases start to get in front of a jury, like we're seeing a few cases with the bankers now getting jailed, questions. Yeah, people getting jailed. Things are not going to change, but there is a lot of pressure coming now from the public and people like us and Facebook and YouTube and social media that we are getting a few more cases being pushed in front of a jury. But there is a big problem with the prosecution level. They're only prepared to prosecute petty crime. There was a single mother, and recently, she found a £20 note in a shop, and it was on video camera. She picked it up, and the police told her, they won't follow up. She's fine. And then after 3 months, they came back and arrested and charged her for finding £20. And then there is huge crimes going, a massive crime. I've got a little 3-year-old who has been thrown on the street 3 times by thugs. And the police says it's a civil matter.
Yeah, well, it seems to be one rule for one and one for the other.
Yeah, so, the question is, how do you fight these people? I've been learning a lot the last couple of years, 3 years nearly, and one of the things I've found is you can twist things. If you are a defendant, you're protecting your property and you're protecting your rights, and they come after you, so now you become the defendant. And in law, the burden of proof is on the claimant. So when they come after you, like my case, you automatically get into the criminal court because the civil court is absolute rubbish. And once you're in the criminal court, the standard of proof is beyond reasonable doubt. So you ask for the evidence against you. And in my case, it turns out they did produce some fake court documents, which we found out afterwards. But the next thing, Andy, is very simple, and this is what the cause I am championing in my commitment, in my fight. As you know, I'm running a petition against court order scam, where we want a public inquiry into that, and we want it to become like PPI, where all the people who have suffered from a court order, which is not a valid court order, should be compensated. And it's very simple. If you've been the victim of a court order, you investigate that court order, and in 9 times out of 10, what I'm seeing on the ground, those pieces of paper are not court orders. They are fake documents, the same like photocopying a £20 note. They're not worth the paper they're written on, and it is very easy to tell. And I have one defense in all my claims. Show me the order issued by the court. And that's my defense. And for years now, I'm fighting on that, and it's been very hard, but it's kind of easy because I boil it down to that one item. Where is the court order? So I have a letter from the appeal court where the tribunal has found against me, and the appeal court says the tribunal, which is a court, does not issue orders. The lady said, and I got it on tape recording, on video, Mrs. Ahmed that works in the London Court of Appeal, she said she's been working there 10 years, Andy, 10 years. And she has never seen a court order. Do you believe that?
So I'm just getting, I don't believe it,
I'm saying this is live on Facebook. I'm saying in the public domain, Mrs. Ahmed, civil appeals, the Court of Appeal in central London, told me she's been working in the tribunals and appeals department for 10 years, and she has never seen a court order. And I got this on video and tape recording. So this is what we're dealing with.
Well, maybe, because they don't get signed, so maybe she hasn't seen them.
No. What they're doing, if you make an order that is not correct or not in the prescribed form, or you use a paper and claim it to be a court order, under the County Court Act 1984, Section 135, that carries 7 years in jail per item. So what they're doing, they don't want to put that court seal on a court order or to sign a court order. So what they're doing, they're producing a lot of other bits of paper and trying to pass it off as a court order. And this requires one item. It requires your solicitor to not talk about it. I was in the Wilsden court trying to issue a summons, and I saw a solicitor in the queue, and I had a chit chat with him, and I said, I trust you're a criminal a defense lawyer. And he said, yes. How do you know? I said, I know because I've never seen a criminal offense lawyer. So he said, okay. So I said, oh, are you here on a defense? He said he's defending a case. One of his clients got convicted of something or other. I said, well, I can solve your case in 5 minutes. He said, how? I said, ask them to produce the court order. And the solicitor laughed. And then I left the room, and I was with a young lady at the time. And when I left the room, he didn't know she was with me. He told her, he said, that guy is a dangerous man. If he goes into law, the system is going to fall down. So he's knowingly taking money from his client, and he knows there is no, for appeal, and he knows there is no order. This is the problem. So that's why I'm running a campaign called Court Order Scams. People are going to jail, especially, Andy, I know you're a Scottish bloke and everything, but...
I'm an English bloke, actually.
I'm sorry. I thought you were Scottish.
I don't like these people dressed in kilts running around after haggises.
I'm sorry.
I just happened to marry a Scottish woman, that was all.
Anyway, in London, where there's a significant ethnic population, I see a disproportionate amount of ethnic people. When I went into prison in Wormwood Scrubs, you see there was about more than 50% ethnic people there. And all of them, I asked every single one I met, when I got the chance, I asked them, have you seen your court order? Everybody, either they say no, they say yes, my lawyers got it. I said, is it a proper order issued by the court? They have no idea. And then, because they don't have the ingredients to find these people guilty. They're not following any proper procedures. The proof in a criminal court is a very serious matter. And they're just producing some pieces of paper called certificates or decisions or whatever, but it's not a court order.
I think one of the comments in the Facebook chat, solicitors really are prostitutes. I'm sorry, because all they're doing, because they're not actually providing. In fact, I'm not knocking prostitutes here on this one, but let's face it, a prostitute only goes for a quick service. A lawyer does the same to make the maximum money. So I think, lawyers, solicitors are prostitutes because they solicit for money. Well done to the chap in the chat room.
In the chat. Well, I think if you are, I think when I was a kid, my parents wanted me to be a doctor, and then as I grew up a little bit, I developed a pretty argumentative streak. You know, I could win an argument quite well, even when I'm wrong sometimes. So then they started to think they wanted me to be a lawyer and all that. So imagine people, you send your child to university and law school, and they come out with a qualification, and you come to realize they're actually doing fraud for a living. It's and a lot of them are trapped in it. You know, I know a lot of lawyers, and they're trapped in a system. And you know, I got a lawyer working in the office 2 doors down from me, and she specialized in property law, and I showed her some stuff on the land registry, and she said to me, "That's how the system works." So they're stealing properties left, right, and center, knowingly this is how it works. They're taking money from the client, and this is all going on, Andy. You know, all the land registry things where people's properties being repossessed and stolen and stuff. The land registry papers are not being signed. They're not paying a fee. There's just somebody in the land registry taking the names off and putting different names on, and you can easily find out by just getting copies of the paperwork.
Yeah, another question is, has anybody seen a proper court order? What does it look like?
No, I've seen many of proper court orders. If you sued me for calling you a Scottish, Celtic, whatever, yeah, and you and I sued each other in court, we would get a good service and there would be a proper order. But when it involves a corporation like a bank or the police or the council, this is where they are using fraudulent proceedings, and they coerce you to get a solicitor. So between the solicitor, the judge, the opposition, they block you from the information. And I have yet to find a lawyer or barrister who will challenge the proceeding. They always want to go into what they call the merit of the case, which I'm getting a little bit technical here, but the proceedings is the things you need to do to constitute a proper and lawful claim against someone. It's a pretty good standard. You know, you have to have your evidence, your statement of truth. You got to pay the court fee. You got to serve the other person. And the lawyers and barristers are taking tens and tens of thousands from their clients, and they're not raising these issues in the trial. Andy.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Sorry. Yeah.
So you can get proper court order if it doesn't involve public people.
Yeah, you will get a proper order. It'll probably be sealed and, you know, nicely signed and, you know, with all the right thing, and, you know, but all the ones we're seeing, you know, we're talking about preparing for court, and most people who are involved in court proceedings are defendants, because you can't sue anyone in a criminal court at the moment. In theory, you can. In practice, we got a number of people filing lawsuits in the criminal court, and they ain't getting the summons. So that leaves us in the civil court. Most times you're the defendant. So the first thing we're telling people to do to prepare for a court matter is to ask for the computerized court records. You write a letter to the court and ask for a copy of the computerized court records, because it will show you beyond any doubt how and where the proceedings are not valid court proceedings. They are bypassing the court and using the court's name and address, but it's not really the court. And this is the when you were talking earlier about preparation, this is the preparation. It's a semi-preparation and semi-private investigation. Hey there, Andy.
Yeah, no, I'm reading some comments as well.
Yeah. There's a few people there tuning in on Facebook. Hello, guys. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you can do your bit to sort out this mess so your children don't become slaves and whatever legacy you're planning to leave. There's somebody else monitoring it very closely and with the intent to take it on the basis that they have a court order. So we all got to sort this out. BrexitRevolution.com. Please sign the petition. So yes, Andy, this is the preparation. You got to get your computerized court record. And since we started encouraging people to do it and doing it ourselves a couple of years ago, they started to shut the courts down. So now you don't have access to the court anymore. You can't walk into a court anymore. They got security guards there. You have to make an appointment, and you can only make an appointment if you want to file a claim. And now they don't take the claim from you anymore. You have to drop it in a box. So you can hardly get a chance to actually go into a court and file a document and get it stamped, which I believe is not lawful. I hope that the public can raise enough pressure that they stop doing this, because personally I had my own case in the court and they told me to drop it in a box, my defense, which I did, and then the judge said I didn't file anything. And we're talking here in my home and the roof over my head and my children and family. And on that basis, the judge ruled against me. And then afterwards, I made a fuss with the court manager, a guy called Richard Gill. And he wrote me a letter and said, yes, I did file. It is on the video camera. It was placed on the court file. He does not know why the judge said nothing was filed. So this is the problem. The court manager resigned shortly after, so that the judge disappeared from that court, and no one will tell me his whereabouts. It's a judge called Nicholas Parfit. So even though the evidence is there, it's in black and white, why haven't I got my property back? You know, this is the problem. So, but the thing is, I do have the black and white evidence, and I have the material to fight with and the confidence. You know, and I think that's what people have to do. Just keep the case very simple, stay confident, stay strong, no matter how many times they knock you back. Just keep going, because as long as you're right, they can't stop you.
They'll have a good go though, won't they?
They have a good go, and you know, we find out their secret weapon is an invisible weapon. It's called a war of attrition. So they try to frustrate you and wear you down, and they tell you can complain. complain to the IPCC, the SRA, the core, complain. So when you complain, what it is bypassing the criminal prosecution. These people are being shielded from facing a jury, because a jury would convict them at the drop of a hat. So you go to complain, the complaint will drag you down for 8 months, 9 months of your life, and then they will say, we haven't found any wrong. And you might find the person telling you this has been moved. They shift them every so often from their seat, so you can't even find them to hold them accountable. So this is the scam running. It's a complaint scam. So they're deliberately doing you wrong and then telling you to complain to one of the other gangsters. I've got a man here making prayer signs at me. You know, it's nice. Pray to me, guys. You know, I bless you. But you know, this is the thing, Andy. The tactics they're using is a war of attrition. So they will wear you down. You will lose your job. Then you'll get stressed out. Then you go to your GP. Then they pass you to a psychiatrist. Then they say you've got mental health. So they have they have these tactics, and then they come at you in a gang, like a swarm. So if you get a problem with the police, then you find the council is coming after you. The police is coming after you with parking tickets or make believe. So they come and swarm you. You know, when I had my case going on, I had someone came and clamped my car, and I videoed it all. I put it on YouTube. It's called Illegal Bailiff Trap. That's got nearly 100,000 hits on YouTube. Until today, they can't produce the court order on which they clamped my car on. Then we have a property with Enfield Council somewhere, and the council condemned my property, took the tenant's children, and said my property was not fit to live, and condemned it on 10 points. And the lady is called Trish Cannon. Hello, Trish. Very nice lady. But when I went to meet her, she was very shocked when I got out my video camera. And went through the 10 points on camera with her. And when I'm at point number, everyone was a lie. And when I reached point number 8, she ran out of the flat. So this is the crap we're getting. Organized crime, serious corruption, and organized crime.
Hi, Andy.
This is the crap we're getting. Organized crime. I'm hearing an echo here. Organized crime.
Hi, Andy.
This is the crap we're getting. Who's that, Lee?
So it was Lee, but I heard feedback. That's why I've cut him off.
Yeah.
I told him not to speak. No one ever listens anymore. Especially
he loves to talk, doesn't he? When I talk to him, I say, oh, look, talk in slow motion. We've got to talk in ultra motion, frame by frame, like Columbo, because we don't want to miss anything. So,
yes, Lee. When you join the show, you join it quietly, and then when you speak, like Anthony just said, you have to do it in slow motion so that people can sit and get tantalized to your gorgeous voice.
Sometimes there's a little delay in the technology. We're hooking up some basic technology. This is an incredible thing that we can do. It's so much fun, I'm telling you. We're hooking up telephones and laptops and loudspeakers and Skype, but we're doing a radio show and it's live on Facebook, and it's unbelievable what we can. This is what's going to take these bad guys down, because when they invented
what we can do next time, Anthony, is show me how to do video Facebook. Then there'll be me video Facebook, and they can see me. Your people can see you. The radio can see us both. I mean, hear us both. It'll be amazing, won't
it? We're going to step it up each time, but we're learning as we go. But at the moment, it's working beautifully, and I'm very happy. So we got a ton of people on Facebook watching and typing stuff, wishing us good luck, and some of them are from other countries. You know, it's amazing.
It's brilliant, yeah. So Lee, do you have a question or comment?
Yes, I have a lease with Hackney Council as the freeholder, and when you report blocked drains or broken lights, nothing happens, and then you report it 7 days later and nothing happens, and this goes on month after month, and yet people are paying £1,300 or more a year for services they don't receive. And that £1,300 is supposed to be spent on replacing broken lights and blocked drains, and it's a health hazard because you can smell the water. It's really bitter smell and the bacteria. And then I took the council to court, and what they did, they got the police to smash my door and steal all my equipment and all my evidence. And they returned it on the day when the trial finished. That's the day they chose to return all my evidence. So it was perfect timing. It's like a knife stab in your back, to teach you a lesson.
Operation.
It's an operation, and because they collude together, the judges, the police, the council.
I feel your pain, Lee. Like in my case, they locked me in Wormwood Scrubs prison on a kidnap, so that they could sell my house to say it got vacant possession. So as soon as the house was sold, or allegedly sold, I was released.
Yeah, they also put me in prison as well.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that.
They stole all my equipment, smashed my door and put me in prison, and then they smashed the equipment that they stole from me. So then, of course, I had no case, and Hackney Council won the case because they stole everything from me. And then they hit me with a huge bill for costs, lawyers, but it was them. It's their own legal department. So, but yet ratepayers are paying.
Yeah, the lawyers are on a salary. The lawyers are on a salary. So what?
They're double charging. They're
double dipping. It's called double dipping. Double dipping. Yeah, they already paid a salary and they're charging us legal fees.
That's right. They're earning a wage.
I got to wave hello to got a few people from abroad tuning in. I love you guys. Thanks for the support. And yeah, we're talking legal stuff here in the UK. The state of the court system and the law oppressing people and stealing assets and children is unbelievable. It has reached a rock bottom, and we're here to make a change for the better.
We definitely are. And Stash in America says it's wise for people to get an external hard drive to keep all your important documents and even duplicate it and keep them in a couple of different places.
You got to back up. You got to back up. Well, even if you're not involved in a court case, it's just common sense. You have data. You got to back up. You could, back up with DT, Google, all kind of facilities. Even if you lose your family photographs and all that, it's distressing. So common sense, back up, email copies of things to a few people, and it's just good practice. You back up, and yeah. But if you're involved in legal things against one of the gangsters, then you got to be a little bit more careful. And so somebody's asking here, Lee, what was the charge against you?
They put me on bail, and I remained
I don't want to hear about the bail.
For
what
9
were you,
months.
Lee?
But there were no charges. Yeah.
Have you got brakes on your mouth, mate?
Okay.
What was the charge?
There weren't any charges.
Oh.
There were no charges.
They locked you up with no charges. It's unbelievable. That's kidnap, a straight kidnap, isn't it?
They put me on bail, yeah. No charges.
Yeah, they charged me for trespass in the house where I'm the owner at the land registry. It's my home. They said I'm trespassing.
In your own property.
but you didn't have any charge at all?
No charges.
My gosh.
But also, the police took all my memory sticks.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter even if you do back up your data, as Andy is quite correctly recommending, they'll just steal that as well.
No, you have to keep some offsite.
They'll take your drives from you.
You have to keep.
I'll give you a clue, Lee. Get a shovel, dig a hole in your garden, stick a flower on top, but before that, stick your doodah inside the hole. Yeah.
Just keep it offsite. Your house can catch fire. Anything can happen. But bottom line is, there goes here. How many houses are we talking about, Anthony? Somebody's asking on Facebook. So in 2015, there were 37,000 houses repossessed, and according to my averages and estimate, approximately 30,000 of those are court order scams. That's 1 year alone. Now, if we bring in county court judgments, people's cars, savings, businesses that are bankrupted, and children, we're talking of. You know, somebody from the Sunday Times told me that the problem we're dealing with here is the biggest phenomenon since the war.
That's true. Yeah, it's out of control. It's like a tsunami of crime. And people are suffering. I mean, Tom Crawford gave a statistic, 104,000 people being made homeless through property repossessions last year. 104,000 families.
And how many of them are legal and lawful? This is the question. Some of them are lawful, some of them are proper, some of them are, legitimate. But how many are illegal? And this is the problem. We believe more than 90% are based on a court order scam.
That's true. That's true, Anthony. It's based on a scam, and there's no proper paperwork, no proper warrants, nothing signed, sealed.
So there is somebody asking here on Facebook, how do we prevent this, mate? And can I answer that?
Yep.
How we prevent it, we as the public, every public servant, police, judge, and doctor, whatever it is, we are their bosses. We pay their wages and they answer to us. And we need to clean up the operation and weed out the bad guys. There are a lot of good people in all these services, but they can't express themselves because the gangsters are in control and they have to toe the line or lose their job. And we have at least one police officer in our team who, is come on the right side of the law and is working very hard. His name is Anthony Carling. I spoke to a police officer, a lady officer in Collindale police station when I was fighting my repossession and property theft, and she told me she was repossessed. And I asked her if she checked the court order out and all this. She didn't understand what I was saying, and she didn't want to pursue it. So it's going to come to everybody. They want to, even these police, they're going to lose all their jobs. It's going to be taken over by private companies like G4S and all that on a minimum wage, and they will have to do crime to supplement their income. And this is what we have to prevent. We've got to work very hard. We've got to clean it up. A lot of progress is being made. A lot of changes. A lot of people are running. We saw Bernard Hogan Howe resign. We saw the head of the IPCC step down for concealment. We saw the Hillsborough thing come out, Michael Duggan. It goes on and on. The public is the one in charge, and every time we go to sleep, the employees go on a rampage. And so this is how we deal with it. We got to keep an eye on the staff.
the judges are appointed directly by the Queen. They are her servants, employees. They take an oath of allegiance to her, so they're independent of Parliament. But what the Queen has to do is come down and inspect her judges, inspect them, audit them, investigate them, and then sack them, get rid of them, because they're committing 100 crimes every 10 minutes. They're committing more crimes than just the ordinary citizen. It's a tsunami. It's like the Wild West. You don't know what the hell's going to come out, what words a judge going to speak next.
Well,
it's like madness,
Lee.
They're like on drugs. I think they're on drugs or something, Lee, these judges.
I'm tempted to interrupt you, Lee, yeah? Because, you're talking about the judges, and we had a little fun and games the other day with one of these judges, you and I, didn't we? But the problem is, yes, it's the judges, but who are the judges? The judges are answering to someone. So there's a criminal cartel, or 2 or 3 criminal cartels behind the scenes controlling the court and the judges. The judges are under pressure. I was in court with my case, and I said to the judge, it's a Roger Berner, who was sitting at the upper tribunal in the Rose Building in London, and I said to Mr. Berner, I said, Your Honor, can you tell me with a yes or no, would you sign and seal an order that I'm a trespasser when I'm the owner at the land registry? Please answer me yes or no. So the courtroom went dead for a long time. And then eventually he says, I don't have any jurisdiction to answer your question. His hands are tied. He wants to help me. I could see the guy wanted to do the right thing, but he can't. So it's not just about the judges. It's who is pulling the strings behind the scenes. It's the people who steal your property. They are the ones controlling. The judges are there. They're what's this guy? Guy Taylor used the best description. He said they are rubber stamping clowns for the criminal cartel. What do you think?
Can I comment on that one? But I do it in a musical way. It's 45 seconds, this bit of music, and I hope people get the funny side of it. And it's not so much clowns, but it's
wonderful music. That's why I thought it was Scottish, just all this music here. Well, you better dance, you know. Yeah, so we're getting a musical treat now. It's a great time and nice little.
Yeah, I think they've put their makeup on, they're all dressed up, they're doing their actor's role, you know. Today I'm a judge, tomorrow I'm a policeman, and whatever they do. And that's really all they are.
Most of the judges. I
was going to say I have a live caller, but I didn't get a chance to say, bear with me a minute. But yeah, most of the judges, carry on.
Most of the judges are actually barristers, and they're working part-time as a judge. That's what. And most of the dirty deeds are being done by what they call deputy judges. Yeah. So a deputy judge is like a part-time judge from a faraway town. Yeah. And what I understand, they're known in the business as flying judges. Yeah. So they call them flying judges because they travel with their passport and a live open ticket. So they can fly out the country at the drop of a hat because they're making some stupid decisions that affect people's liberty and life and human rights. and they are capable to leave at any time. You won't find them again. I had a judge in my case in Harrow Crown Court, but she came from Liverpool. I mean, what on earth? Are we short-staffed down here? What on earth are we doing with someone from Liverpool? You know, who paid her train fare? You know? So this is what is going on. Not just the judges, it's a whole thing going on, and the system is rotten. I think we should go back to 1984 when there was the civil court, and there was just a court, and things go for a jury, and this is the way forward, I believe. More jury trials.
That's correct. Every case should be decided by a jury, exactly. And each party must represent themselves. You know, none of this lawyer bullshit. You know, it's just a big money machine. And if a person is genuine and they've got a genuine case, then they will run the case themselves and they will prepare everything themselves. We don't need snakes and vipers. We don't need, you know, a £30 billion industry. That 12,000 greedy vipers and snakes suck vampire off, because that's the turnover £30 billion at the moment.
Who turn over £30 billion, please?
12,000 lawyers.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well,
that's the number of lawyers in the law.
I have a lot of respect for the.
It's an industry, like a factory.
It's
really.
an industry. Yeah, I have a lot of lawyers. I have a lot of respect for the legal industry. However, what I find is when it comes to challenging the proceedings against certain corporations, nobody will do it.
Yeah, I had a comment, sorry, Lee, about judges. They're corporate magistrates, not real judges. Look to who hires them. Judges are only supposed to court referee, not decision makers. Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, Andy. Sorry if I cut across you, but you're going to court and you're there and another party's there, so you're like a football match. One is red, one is blue. So you believe the judge is like a referee. But what we're seeing from the public and the victims is it seems like the judge is on the red team or the blue team. And they're treating people, you don't believe what we experience. I mean, we have a guy called Bob Simmons. We went to court. They wanted to send him to jail for money, which is not possible in law. And he asked for the court order and everything. He was reading his short statement that we prepared for him. And the judge called the security. They physically beat the guy up, locked him in a room. His wife jumped in with him. And his son is a black belt in martial arts, who's standing there watching his mother being manhandled. It's unbelievable. You could not make it up. This was the which court was it? Something side, not Barking side. Barking side? So somewhere past Rumford, going out that way. Barking side magistrates or something. But it's absolutely crazy that the judge is not a referee that we're supposed to. Yeah, the judge said to the man, shut up, shut up, shut up. The guy's reading his statement, and all his statement is saying, I've never received a court order, practically. But the judge took the statement out of his hand, and the guy had another copy. So he carry on reading, and he got the security to bang him up in a little room. Now, the problem is, you know, what they're doing there. Are provoking the guy and hope that he would retaliate and maybe push the security or do any minor thing then they will do him for assault. There's such dirty tricks going on here.
The same thing happened to a friend of mine. He owed £90 in council tax, and he had to
Baby ringing me. What's cooking?
refuse to give his name to Barry.
Go tell her
And then the judge, and then he said, "Are you on your oath?" And the judge said, "It's none of your business what I'm on."
None of your business.
And then, none of your business. And then Barry asked the judge, what are your bond insurance, indemnity, professional indemnity details? Because I'm going to make a claim against you for your criminal activity. And then the judge pushed the red lever, and in came running 4 goons from S4G, and they pushed Barry up into the air and slammed him down onto the floor. They nearly broke his arms. He had bruises all over his face. And there were 6 witnesses there filming it, and they couldn't believe what they were filming. It was like gangsters beating up this guy.
Yeah. Oh, it's unbelievable.
They snatched all the films and the cameras and equipment out of the people's hands, and then took the cards out of all the machines that had it recorded.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a horrible incident, Lee, and the public needs to know this is going on. But secondly, we have to try to be a bit constructive, because my mission is to try and give people a hope and a remedy, and at least one step forward. So we have a lot of horror stories, and a lot of it is on video and captured. We got to put it out there on YouTube, but ultimately, we got to find a remedy. We got to say to people, how do you come back from this? How do you recover? How do you enjoy life while you're fighting your case? You understand? I just came back from a nice holiday in Devon, and I'm refreshed and happy, even though I got all this crap going on. Because, sometimes we start to feel victimized and start to live negative and talk negative and this and that. The fact is, we could be saying this all in public. It's a privilege. In a lot of countries, we couldn't do this. We have technology now which allows us to do it. That's fantastic. We can't blame these people. It's us, the public. We have a country, we have civil servants. We are not managing the situation properly. When we act, we get a result. When they brought in the poll tax, we stopped it. Grenfell Tower, people act. You see now they're doing corporate manslaughter. Barclays Bank, chief executive, we see now they're facing criminal charges. Not civil fines, criminal. So, I want to keep it constructive and positive, and a remedy and a step. I rather go 1 inch forward than 100 miles sideways. So while all these horror stories are going on, we've got to keep pressing forward. I have a lady here sitting with me in my little audience here. Her son died in the illegal eviction, and we got letters from the court and the council that they don't have any court proceedings. You can't make this up. One day we're going to do something just on her case. It's an unbelievable case. But, we've got to push forward. At least we can get these letters from the court. We can write to the court. We get the answer. Might not be always easy, but it's a privilege.
We have a caller, by the way.
You got a caller on. Okay.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, hi.
It's Bob Simmons calling.
Bob.
Okay, do you have a question for Anthony or one of your own?
No, no question. Oh, you thought you wanted to call?
Yeah, I thought he'd want me a call.
Yeah, well, you can talk about your case, Bob. Let's talk about what have I done here? Are you there, Bob?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
All right. Okay, I lost my way for a bit.
How are you? Nice to hear you.
I'm good. I'm good. Well, the best thing to talk about is the time that which magistrate's court were we in when they locked you in that little room? Tell us what happened. Barkingside. I don't mean this.
Barkingside Magistrate's Court, and we wanted to read out an oral statement.
You have to speak up. You have to speak up a little bit, please.
Yeah, you gave it to the judge, the oral statement.
Yeah.
Then he snatched a copy out of my hands, and then I was reading it, and he slung us all in the box, which was great fun.
So the thing is, the British public out there can never imagine that in a court of law, a judge takes away the paper out of your hand. Can anybody believe this?
Yeah.
And your paper was very deep. I drafted that letter. It's less than half a page of content. All it is basically saying is you haven't got your court order and you've requested it and blah, blah, blah. And as far as you believe, there is no such order. And all they had to do, they actually stopped the trial, didn't they? And tried to find the order. And then they start up again and they don't have an order.
But as you said before, the judge is just happy to proceed. You know, what they're happy about, I don't know.
Well, they said that their favorite word nowadays is I'm satisfied.
Yeah, satisfied,
yeah. That must be the biggest word in the law dictionary nowadays. I'm satisfied. Satisfied with what? I'm not satisfied. I've lost my house.
Yeah. And I nearly lost my liberty.
Yeah, they wanted to lock you up in jail. The public-private partnership that runs the jail need to fill their hotel, Bob.
Yeah. I thought they were going to buy out the machine guns. It was that bad.
Yeah. And your son had to sit there and watch mom and dad being roughed up for no reason at all.
Completely assaulted as a family, weren't we?
And this young generation is seeing these things taking place. I mean, how does that affect the future?
Not very well, because they turn into rebels, really, don't they?
How are they going to trust the authority?
Yeah, they don't.
You know,
the authority's lost control, hasn't it? In the respect of any respect that it had.
But the end result of that, anyway, was we kind of had some success because in the end they did back down and they did what we wanted because we didn't fall for the trap of reacting to the provocation. So this is something, you know, we're talking about preparing for court and all that. Be warned, if you're challenging the proceedings and all that, you're going to be provoked. Keep a cool head. Stick to the facts. I've never been served with any proceedings issued by the court. These are criminal documents. That's my case. Thank you very much, Your Honor. If you can prove me otherwise, I will accept any judgment you can make.
That's correct.
That day, Bob. I must tell people this as well. That day, when they called the security, the first time to truck me out of the court, I said to the security guy, who I happen to know from old times, I told him, look, my friend, you're here to protect me, and don't touch me, the assault. So he didn't touch me, escort me out, but afterwards, they laid into you. But after the whole event, we went to talk to them nicely, and they were completely on our side, and we reminded them they are there to protect us. Yeah, not to work for gangsters. They are paid by public funds to protect the public. And they were very receptive to it, and we told them what's going on and showed them and all that. And we had a little trial with the security outside, and I think we won that one.
Yeah. They set all the alarms off, didn't they? And when I started to read out the oral statement.
Yeah. Yeah, he
asking for the court. Asking for the court. The
show me
court
the order. I've been here. I breach a court order. I want to see. I want to see the court order.
Push the panic button.
Yeah.
No lawyer
of
they're barking mad.
yeah, barking mad. No lawyer or barrister. You know, no lawyer or barrister would ask that question that you asked. Can I see the sealed order issued by the court that I have breached? No barrister or lawyer will ask such a simple question, and that's a problem we've got to fix.
Yes, it is.
Everybody went quiet there. Somebody's gone.
Yeah, somebody's on
I'm
away.
gonna leave you guys to it.
All right, Bob. Thank you very much for coming on, and your case is very exciting, and I'm sure something's gonna come of it, and yeah, it's all gonna unravel. But all these gangsters.
Just in closing, I would say you would have had to have been in the room to believe the actions of the judge that day.
I was there.
They're complete psychopaths. They really are.
Yeah. There's a video going around about how these judges are. What's the word they use? They get like erratic or something. They use apparently to become a barrister. To become a barrister and a judge and all that, you have to pass drama. I had no idea. So they're actors. That's why they say we're acting for this, we're acting for that. They're actually acting. So they use these techniques against people to destabilize you and put you in the wrong frame of mind and get you to tricks and traps, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thanks for calling anyway, and yeah, it sounds an amazing case. One of these days we're going to have other cases that can,
but you see,
set a precedence and then educate the lawyers and educate the judges what job they really have to do. And what Lee was saying earlier, learn your own sort of way of preparing your case for court. But I actually think rather than a lawyer, there should be a free service that comes into court, checks over your documents, give you a helping hand, and then for you to submit them.
But that's what the court staff used to do. They trained, they trained in the administration. But the very simple thing, 90% of the victims, one simple way to fight a case, very simple. Where is the effing court order? Was it issued by the court? Yes or no? That's it. I've been using that line 3 years now, and they keep trying to press ahead and press ahead and press. I will take it to the Supreme Court, Europe, wherever I have to go. But I have one defense. Show me the order that was issued by the court. That's it. No, I've never seen a lawyer or barrister prepared to ask that question. And they're prepared to take tens and tens of grants from people and proceed, and then take out action against these people for their fees when they've never seen the court order. What's going on?
They're all in it for the money.
But that's what we've got to break, the court order scam. And how do you sleep in your bed at night when you've got a victim who's been harassed, who's been displaced, who's been through hell and back, and you're taking their money, knowing that you're shafting them and their children? How do you live? How do you go home and say to your wife or husband or your mother who paid the university fees that I rob people for a living? How do you do that? It must affect them. That's why one of the highest rates of drug and alcohol abuse and wife beating and all these things come from the legal profession. It's just a simple fact of life, because they're living a life that is so corrupted, it is harming them. There is no peace in their soul. They don't know who's going to knock their door. You think you're worried about the bailiff. They're worried about all sorts. So it is not yielding them any quality of life. Whatever money and whatever they get, they're living a very, uncomfortable life, and some of them want to get out of it,
That's a good point you've just made there, Anthony. You've made the point about the bailiffs. Now, when they go to a property, they're supposed to have a very similar thing to a court order, but they often go to people's houses and say, we're repossessing today, or your car, or whatever. Where's the document we ask? They can't provide it because they say they either haven't got one or don't have to show it. That's not right either, is it?
Well, the problem is that scam can only work with the police, because the minute you start to put your foot down and ask for the document, they call the police, or you call the police and say they said they have a document. Now, in a lot of cases, I find when they call the police is already around the corner waiting. This is what I found. So when the police comes, the police will never check the document because they already know. To be fair, I have seen one or two where they check the document and actually turn them back. But all they say, it's a civil matter, which is rubbish. To fake a court document is a criminal act. It's a forgery. And according to the County Court Act, it carries 7 years in jail. And it's an indictable offense. Goes straight to Crown Court, not even a magistrate. Straight jury trial. And I have never seen the police act on one of these false documents. So this is what we got to change. Court order scam. We are the only people, the first and only people pushing the envelope about court order scams. You will not find it any news coverage, any TV, any newspaper. Even if you look back in the archives, I have never seen it where anybody talks about the court order or the court proceeding being fraudulent. I've seen this program, sometimes they call it Can't Pay, We'll Take It Away. And they always talk about the debt. They never talk about the court proceeding. And the minute they talk about the court proceeding, the bailiff will be a criminal, 7 years down. And I believe nearly everybody on that program that comes should be locked up, not the victim they come to terrorize that they have a court order. Hey, this program is kicking ass, Andy. I don't think anyone's ever put it like this before. Can I be a little more specific on that, Andy? Are you there, Andy? Have we lost you? Andy? Yeah. Andy's gone for a whiskey. Yes, so if you have someone come, I'll give an example on my own case. Last week, someone came to my old house and said they're a bailiff. They come to collect a court fine. So someone gave me his mobile, and I phoned the guy up and I videoed it. So I'm going to put it on YouTube soon because it's so funny. I said, hello, you come to collect money from me? He said, yeah. I said, I want to pay you, my friend. How much do I owe you? And he said, I owe him $4,000. I said, oh, I see. So you're a bailiff. You come to you got a warrant to chase the $4,000. You got a court order. And he said, yes, I have a court order. I said, okay. Which court is it from? And he said, oh, it's from West London court. I said, okay, which one? There's a few in West. He said, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So I said, well, I want to check with the court if it's a legitimate, or it might be an error. It might be somebody else with a similar name, or, I want to check. Can you tell me where it is? So after a while, he says, I am taking this back to the office. I don't want to know. And I'm offering to pay.
Not taking my money.
And I videoed the whole thing, and then I found out he's not a bailiff, court bailiff. He's from a company called Confero or something. So I called Confero, and I asked them if they got a court order. It's the same. They're rubbish. They don't have nothing. So this is a private company saying they're a court officer and a court bailiff. This is all going on, and they're getting the full backing of the police. Theresa May, do something. Do something. We got a petition. There's 1,600 people signed it. You must listen. Do something, because you see what Grenfell Tower has brought, and so many other things. Hillsborough, do something and be proud. Chris Grayling at least sacked 79 staff for issuing fake warrants after we put out a video to show people what a fake warrant looks like. That's not good enough. Clean up the system for the core. Get rid of all these people, put them in front of a jury, sort it out.
And then shoot the lot of them.
No. I think they need rehabilitation, and they need to do. They need to get out.
Yeah.
They need to get out in the community and help old people.
4 hours of work every day, sewing mailbags. That will rehabilitate them. They'll have plenty of rest and healthcare.
All this weekend they spend abusing children from the care homes that they've stolen. They should be out in the community, helping in the church, helping in the school, helping in the old people's homes, looking after their elderly. Yeah, and that will rehabilitate, put them in touch with humanity, get a little allotment like Jeremy Corbyn, so you can go and grow some onions and see the cycle of nature, instead of sitting in all these nasty hotels with artificial air and drinking all these poisons, which you believe the ill-gotten money is bringing you happiness. It ain't. I'm happier than the lot of you, and what you've stolen from me, it's not making you happy. So get on with it. Let's clean this up. Andy?
Yeah, the bigger picture, unfortunately, and I'm not joking, is they are trying. I mean, other people would call it conspiracy theory, but I do believe slowly they're trying to depopulate people. They're trying to split up the family unit. They're trying to make people on their own, because they're happy when people get divorced. They're happy when families split up, forced adoptions, you name it. It's all part of the bigger picture to make us all weak. Somebody just commented, we should all, now just all be rebels peacefully, be rebels, and then let's hope the system will change, because that's the only way. I mean, everyone's got ideas. I mean, you've got the idea for the courts, other people got the ideas for the MPs, other people got the ideas for the social workers. But really, that's too many things we need to do as people just to live in a normal society like we did 30 years ago. I mean, when I was born, well, I can remember living in Cambridgeshire, Peterborough. I mean, it wasn't brilliant, but, I didn't smoke, but 10 fags were about 17p. The teachers were okay, as long as you didn't cross them. you know, the police used to stop and make sure you was okay. Are you all right, son? Are you going to see your mum? Are you going to school? And, you know, the really nice community feeling, you know, and now you don't even know who your next door neighbour is. And what they're also trying to do, and I think this is how they're trying to split us up quicker, they're making all the people who are black, Asian, Polish, whatever, from whatever nationality, fight against each other, almost to get rid of most of the white people on the planet. I don't know. It's just overlooking on the internet what people are saying and putting it all together. That's my impression.
Well, I think I think I always blame the public. The public have gone to sleep and think, oh, we got some good people. We voted for this one. They're going to do a nice job. They're educated at private school and they're smart. These people have an unnatural upbringing because they didn't grow up in a community and with their family. They've been farmed off to a boarding school. They don't know about life and everyday life. And they generally think people make more money out of you when you're isolated. It's easier to control a vulnerable person than somebody in a strong family or a strong community. And whatever happens, I think, you know, the power rests with us. I always take that view. And we have now social media. We have programs like this. It's the public who has to wake up. The public has to do things, you know. And we have to count our blessings that, as bad as it is, and it's probably on a downward trend, but we still have the ability to fight. I think if we were in Pakistan or Zimbabwe, we couldn't have this program. So we see now the head of Barclays Bank being prosecuted for fraud. That's fantastic progress, you know. We saw several people from HBOS jailed for many years. You know, we are seeing a lot of progress. Where we see the Grenfell Tower thing, they're now saying it's corporate manslaughter. We want the people to face a jury. That is my thing. But you know, I'm an optimist, and although there's a lot of bad things, I think there's a lot of good as well. And we all have the capacity right now to have a good quality of life, even if you've lost your home or your job or your money. Remember, the best things in life are for free. It is no excuse to be miserable and pessimistic. At the same time, we have to restore civility in the society and in the people that govern us, and we have to police them. We have to police the police. You know, the police came to my house and blah, blah, blah. I videoed them and put it up on YouTube, 130,000 hits. 2 of them disappeared immediately. The judge disappeared. 2 court managers disappeared. Because I published my case. I didn't beat them in court. Okay, fine. I didn't get compensation from them. But I took whatever action was within my capability, and a result was achieved. It's the people who sit on their arse and do nothing and expect that everybody is going to act in their interest and for their benefit, and they are going to do nothing. Like you have a business that's very good and you go away on holidays for 6 months and thinking all this staff is going to run it, and when you come back you're going to have a bag of money in the bank. I am sorry, you will be bankrupt.
Yeah, we just had a comment from our friend Stash in America, and
Yeah.
he said there's no good hoping for change. You actually got to work for the change. And, you know, some of these things we're facing these days, they're going to happen. It's the same as road accidents happen, you know. You don't have a road accident or witness one and then be miserable for the next 20 years. You have to kind of man up or woman up and deal with it, don't you? I guess you're right what you're saying. Yeah, you can't let it destroy you. Otherwise, what's the point being on the planet?
We have the capacity to enjoy life. Some of our friends that got struck down by cancer. Some of our friends have got all kind of problems way beyond what we are suffering. We mustn't use this victim thing as a excuse to deteriorate our quality of life when we have the capability to live a good life, even under terrorism, you know. And that's what I want to try and remind people of that, because the people who are robbing you are bloody miserable, unhappy, screwed up, and they are in a prison. They want to get out. They don't. Some of them are joined the Masons, and they compromise them. They got things on them, and they got to run around like a puppet when they get told to do so. I got invited how many times? 3 or 4 times to join the Masons and whatever. And I don't know what they are, so I didn't follow up. And some people told me that that's why I've been targeted. But I don't want to live a life where someone's got negative information on you, and because of that, they turn you into a slave and a puppet. And so I'm a free man, and I enjoy life when I can. And even when I was in jail, I was writing stuff, helping people. I have enough material in that time. I can publish a book now from it. And I probably will. But, you know, you have to find that indomitable spirit which money can't buy.
Yeah, and I think it's love, life, and laughter, really. Love, life, and laugh. 3 little words of inspiration.
You know, we have a group of victims here that we meet up once a week. We share pizza, we eat, we help each other with our cases, and we have a WhatsApp group. We have a community spirit out of it, and we can laugh at some of the miserable things and help each other to push forward, and somebody can help you to fix your car or help you with a letter, or, you know, some everyday things. And this is the wonder of technology and possibility that we have, and it helps us to fight our cases. And, you know, that's where I sit. That's where I sit, Andy. I believe, you know, I believe in abundance, you know. And I think we will achieve a lot of progress. And we are looking for a parliamentary inquiry into court order scams, and the people will get compensated like PPI. That's our mission, and, you know, we need everybody to support it and fight their case in court, and do what they can. And I believe we are actually succeeding and progressing incrementally. I can see it. If you look at the updates on the petition, you can see as time goes by, there's better and better cases coming out the courts in our favor. And I think we will break through.
Yeah, definitely. I got another caller, our sister Nilu, wants to talk about refund of court fees. Just gonna add she promises no gold. That's just a personal joke. Nilu. Hey there, Nilu.
Hi, Anthony. I wonder, can I ask?
Yeah.
Hi, yeah. Can I ask you, because I was thinking that I've been in court for 17 years. I've been paying these court fees, and I must have paid at least £100,000 in court fees over the years. I didn't get any justice. this is my niece's death. We, went in about trying to get an inquest for her, and I want and a personal injury claims I got for my whole family, my mother, my sister, my son, myself, and there was frauds by the lawyers. There was frauds by the experts, the frauds with the court fees. The insurance companies basically committed perjury, etc., etc. Now, these were crimes committed to deny us our settlement for my niece's death and our personal injury claims. So I went to the Chancery Division, and I said I want a refund of the court fees. If we're not getting justice, I mean, surely we're entitled to have the court fees back over.
Yeah. You there?
Yeah, she's giving you a chance to comment.
Okay. The problem. Okay, that's fine. That's a good argument. I think you're such a passionate and fiery person, and you're shooting from the hip. I want my money back because I didn't get the service. It's common sense, and I believe you might find what's it called, the access, the Criminal Courts and Justice Act 2015 have some provision about service providers, which I believe the Ministry of Justice is. But I think we have to look at the bigger issue and the deeper issue, and we have to say there's a big matter going on, so we have to approach it like a war and tactics and say, okay, this is the problem. These are the various battlefronts. Where is the weakest point in this battlefront that I can attack in order to win my case or to get justice? And where can I, because with any case, I believe, if you break one part of it, then the case will fall apart. So it's a question of trying to, the court fee is a good thing, but you're saying you didn't get justice. It's a bit tricky because they're going to say, well, the court ruled against you, blah, 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 blah. The question is, you didn't so-called win your case, or they didn't give you the win that you deserve. So it's a question of finding the simplest and the path of least resistance in your case that you can pursue to obtain the justice you want. And that is my opinion. You have to look at the weakness of the opposition. And I don't know your case very well to find that, but usually I'm looking in the computer department because people can fiddle paper easily, but they can't fiddle computer records because it will leave a footprint. And if you can show in the computer record that there was fraud in the proceedings or whatever, and then you bang that drum where you can't lose, you can only be delayed, but you can't be denied. You bang that drum till the cows come home, and because your case is so simple, you have time to earn a living, get a massage, take a holiday, do whatever you gotta do, but you're gonna hit on the weakest link until it breaks, then all the other parts will come crumbling down. That's my philosophy, Neil.
Yeah, once I was at the counter in the Central London County Court, when it was in the other building.
Yeah.
And there was an old man there called Mr. Al-Hadari. Now, he told me that he put cash over the counter, the guy disappeared for an hour, came back and said he didn't receive anything, he's lying. And this is an 80-year-old man. And then he owned a flat that was his own. They pretended that he didn't pay his rent, which he didn't, obviously he owned it. And they threw him out because they were renovating these blocks block of flats. So those kind of injustices that have occurred in the court offices by the court staff because they're criminals. They've stolen from an old man, and this is the kind of thing that we need remedies for. The crimes that have been committed against vulnerable people who go there thinking this is a judge, this is a court, and I'm going to get justice, and they haven't got justice. So I'm talking about making public liability insurance claims. So say I had a personal injury claim for my loss of earnings for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know, it's about £3 million. And the insurance company didn't pay the fee, and etc. And then I got cheated off that. I want to claim against the judges. I want to claim against the health minister for messing up the justice system. Sorry, the justice minister and the health minister, because they work together in my niece's case and personal injury claims. So, unless we go out there and make these claims and speak to the various directors of finance for the bad service we receive from the Corporation of the UK PLC or the gov.uk, they're not going to change. They're not going to start serving and protecting us. When I go to court and I ask the judge, are you on your oath? They don't know what I'm talking about because they're just there. They're privately hired by the insurance company. And in the Romford County Court now, I've got a hearing on Friday at 10 a.m. They're not even going to let the public go in because it's closed to the public. It's just a private hearing. The security guard don't even let you in the building. The counters are only open like 10 to 2 and you have to make an appointment. So there is absolutely no access to justice. There is no justice. And then there's frauds and treason and perjury going on a daily basis. I just think that we all need to get, some kind of our own policy for remedies so that, they will only behave once we basically demand honor,
Yeah,
over.
okay. I hear what you're saying, Nilu, and I really admire your passion and your energy. And I think you're right in principle, what you're saying. The danger that you could face if you start retaliating against Tom, Dick, and Harry because you got evidence of a crime, which we all do, you're going to lose your energy. They're going to beat you by the war of attrition. And this is what they want you to do. So I will come back to my original strategy, that what I believe you do, like you're going into a war, you look for the path of least resistance. You find something in the case. Don't fight the whole case. It's a waste of time. It's like a balloon. Don't matter where you prick the balloon will burst. Bottom, top, middle, side, wherever. So you only need one place to prick the balloon. So you find the weakest point in the case and focus all your energy there. And once you win, then the can of worms open. You claim whatever compensation. There was a case in the Supreme Court, when was it? Last month, came out, where the guy won the right to sue the Chancellor of the Exchequer for the compensation under Article 5 of the Human Rights Act because it was unreasonable for him to go chasing after all these different gangsters when they're all public authorities. So it's about the tactic and the strategy to pinpoint. I'll talk about this magicians lying on a bed of nails all the time, and the nail doesn't pierce their skin because there's a lot of nails. But if you take away all the nails and put one nail and ask him to lie on it, what's going to happen? So you fight your case on a pinpoint on one nail. If you got a lot of nails, he can lie on it and it won't even, it just looks like it's a problem, but it's not even bothering him. So this is what I'm saying, Nilu. You'll find a weak part of your case, which in my opinion, 99% is going to be the computer records, because it will show you the DNA of your case, and they cannot get out of that one. They can only delay you. They can't deny you. And if a lot of people start doing it, then, you know, the floodgates has to open. Is that helpful?
Yeah, it's great, because we need to, you know, trying to talk these things to help us to get to our remedy page, because the problem is so big and people have got so many millions of versions of the problem. But we need to focus on are we going for public liability? Are we going for commercial lien? Are we going for criminal prosecutions? Are we doing treason charges? Are we removing them from office? You know, we're arresting them, doing citizens arrest.
In my opinion, Nilu, yeah, you go for a win. However you get it, it don't matter. And once you win, all these things you're talking about can come, because you burst the balloon. But you got to get the win on the weakest part of the case, because you don't have the energy and resources to do all this stuff. It's not going to happen. But if you argue on the weak point, in my case, there was never any court fee paid for the proceedings against me. And I have a letter from Ministry of Justice saying if the fee is not paid, the case is void. So I just put everything else aside, all my wheelbarrow full of paperwork, forget it. 3 pages, here it is. Give me an order that this is a void case, I'm a victim of fraud. And then once I get this, then the battalion of gangsters that have done me wrong will all fall into the hole. But my energy, I can be doing this radio show and earning my living and spending time with my family, because I kept my case on one point. These proceedings have never been issued by the court, and here is the evidence. And I can sing that for the next 7 years. I can take, I've got nothing else in my case. But if it breaks, and when it breaks, then everything opens up. Pandora's box. The whole, what's it called, deck of cards, house of cards will come falling down. Take out the cornerstone. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
We have to manage our energy and our resources. And this is it. And we're looking for a public inquiry into court order scams. Because all these scams say they got a court order. And when you investigate it, it is not a court order. There is a gangster using the court name and address and facilities to pump out false paperwork, just like someone printing fake money.
We've got our American friend on the line, Stash, been listening to you, Anthony. There's a lot of people on Facebook and Twitter in all my links saying what a wonderful chap. Even some of the ladies said, "Oh, I love that guy."
Bring the ladies on. Bring the ladies on, man. I'm sick of the gay guys in my office here laughing.
This is more interesting there. Carry on, Anthony. Yeah, another 30 people outside. We don't let them come in.
There's a queue outside our premises here. People trying to get in. That's lovely. That's lovely. So it shows that there is a public interest in what we are doing. When I go on the petition, court order scam.
Let Stash have his.
Sorry.
Let Stash have his say, and then
we can wind up. We can wind up. Yeah.
We only got 10 minutes, so Stash, go ahead. To Anthony.
Well, greetings all. I'm absolutely fascinated by what Anthony's saying, because as a matter of fact, he's agreeing with a lot of the things I've said. I've told people many times, I'm broke. I mean, I'm living on Social Security. That's it. But I'm still one of the wealthiest people I know, because I have family and friends and a wonderful woman in my life and food in my mouth and food in the refrigerator. I have a lot to be grateful for. And, you know, I'm fighting a legal battle, and I've got so many flaws in their case, it isn't funny. But according to law, it only takes one flaw in a case on their side to shut down the case. That's it. And there are some other things, too, you can do. I mean, if you have to petition the court, the first thing you do is ask them for a death certificate, because courts of equity can only deal with corporate or dead people. You ask them for the bid bond, the performance bond, the judge's bond, the prosecutor's bond, their oaths. This is long before you go into court. Most court cases that are successful are taken before the court date even starts, because they can't answer your questions. And if they haul you into court and you've submitted an affidavit that has gone unrebutted, it stands as fact in law. You know, this is where it comes in for me with the education factor. I've spent a lot of years learning to protect myself and those that I care about, because it was worth it. And that's the question I continually ask people. You don't want to do the work? How much is your life really worth to you? How much is your freedom really worth to you? And I've told people the worst thing they can do to me right now is kill me. And if they do, they will create one hell of a martyr. Because I've spread this message, and I know people all over the world and all over this country who know that, number one, I'm not suicidal. I'm not depressed. You know, I'm not going to drive my car off a cliff because they took my car. They stole my car. But still, I'm sitting here by a river watching nature and wildlife and ospreys and eagles and geese and ducks and doing my thing. But I'm happy because here I'm at peace and I can work in the right frame of mind. You know, I'm not one to sit around and bitch about what's wrong.
Yeah.
I've always been the one who fixes it. And really, that's the basis of this whole thing, as I see it, is you have to take your life into your own hand, take responsibility for your life and your actions, and go do something about it. Over.
Yes, Tash, thank you very much for your contribution. We love your accent over here. It's wonderful. You know, my Jamaican accent beats you, but never mind. It's not a competition.
Well, the Jamaican accent is one of the few that I've had trouble with.
There you go. But the thing is, you know, you've obviously a different kind of spirit than most people, and you're taking this thing holistic, and you're very insightful about it. So my strategy that I'm using for myself, and there's many ways to do things, but my chosen way is a bit of a hybrid system, but it's really challenging the proceedings. A little investigation to check if it's all proper, and I guarantee you most of it isn't proper. And you attack the weakest point for the minimal energy expenditure and time and money, whatever. And it frees you up in so many ways, because sometimes you do affidavits, you do different things and all that. But then they still do the wrong, and you can't enforce your rights. And this is the problem. So we got some very, you have to be doggedly persistent on your points, and they try to drag you off into sideshows. And we are using a hybrid system, a little bit of common law, civil procedure rules, and the forensic examination into the proceedings, and that's our ingredient. I'm a great fan of what we call trial by letter. There was a chap here, Lee was on early. I helped him to draft a letter to the court to get his computer record. And then he called me when I was on holidays. He says he's in the court. So I told him to give the phone to the court lady because she said he needed to go, she needs to take the case to the judge for the judge to decide to give him the computer record. So I told her, no, that's not correct, and you're giving wrong information, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't too harsh with her because I'm a respectful person, you know. I even respect criminals sometimes. And you love that stash, don't you?
Just don't get caught.
But what we did, I tape recorded the little conversation and I put it out on social media. And I'm very certain it got back to them. Because they even gave Lee N244 form to fill in for him to see a judge to make an application. Yesterday, he had a reply from the court, no judge, no form, no hearing. He got screenshots of his computer record. Now, the problem is, they've obviously panicked because we have done the right thing. We've stood our ground. We've challenged them. They need to give the computer record. They clearly know the computer record is going to break the case. So the screenshots they give him is not the computer record. So that's a misrepresentation under the Fraud Act. So now they're bringing criminality into the case. But the thing is, in a very simple maneuver, we got rid of the bullshit about the judge, got rid of the thing about the application, and they gave us false information to mislead us. So we've achieved a lot of things in a short couple of days. So we're going to go back to them and say, thank you very much, because as I said, I'm a respectful guy, so we always say thanks for providing a screenshot. However, this is not what I requested. I requested the computerized court record, sections 1, 2, and 3. Please provide it.
90 seconds.
If you're unwilling or unable to provide it, please give the reason. Implied admission by the absence of a response. This letter will be used in evidence. CC to whom it may concern. This stash is what I call a smart letter. It gets them in a corner, and we do trial by letter. We're winning 90% of the case before we go into court.
Well, you know, I've taken a similar tack in the sense that I got you. When they write me a letter, lately especially state of Oregon, nobody signs the letter. I write the back saying, I got this letter, and allegedly says it's from you. But no one signed it, so I don't know that it really came from your office. I need verification with a wedding signature under oath and penalty of perjury. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Oh, fantastic. What we've been doing, we try to write to the court manager or to somebody, you know, the chief, the head, and we find that gets fantastic result. But it's very out of order not to sign your letter. It's got no legal standing.
We've got 10 seconds, so if everyone stays
10 seconds.
for next week's show, at 8 o'clock on Wednesday with Anthony,
8 o'clock next Wednesday.
Bradaloo and Nilu, Lee, everybody, you know, is welcome, but we like to try and stay on track.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Blog Talk Radio. Bye.
Thank you.
That's off live now. Can we clap?